then you need yours on too. Let me see if there's still a bunch of people coming.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bernalillo County's event, vendor, debrief, and open house. My name is Lisa Cedillo White, and I'm one of the Deputy County Managers for Bernalillo County. My division is General Services. So you are in for a great morning. There is a lot of information that we Bernalillo County subject matter experts want to share with you on how to be a vendor with Bernalillo County. There are requirements from all the way from, we're going to share application process to insurance requirements, why the need for insurance, in addition to permitting process. In addition to hearing from Bernalillo County subject matter experts, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear what's working, what's not. We want to hear what your challenges are, because we want to foster the participation. We value the partnership, and we have several county events that we want your participation. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ariella, and she's from our Cultural Affairs and Marketing Department to start off the conversation.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you everyone for being here. It's nice to see everyone. If you haven't already, if you can sign in, and then we do have some handouts at the front entrance if you didn't pick those up on your way in. Thank you again for joining us. Thanks to those who are joining us here in person. Thanks to those who are also joining us via Zoom. Again, my name is Ariella Lustig. I'm one of the event coordinators with Cultural Affairs and Marketing. So I help organize and run our district commission events as well as some of our cultural events. So our mission is to really celebrate local community and culture with local artists, food, and music. So we just heard from Lisa Cedillo White. She's the Deputy County Manager for General Services. Up here with me as well is Armani Monsieur. He is the Risk Management Administrator. Here in the crowd, we're also joined by Kellison Platero. He's the Health Protection Manager here at the county. He's waving to us. He's in the back. Hi, Kel. We're also joined by Mike Benton from Fire. So we'll all have an opportunity to speak. Hi, Mike. And we'll go over events expectations for the upcoming event season. We're then going to open up the floor for Q&A. So that's when you'll have the opportunity to ask us questions, give us feedback on things that are working, things we can work together to try and improve. We'd love to hear your feedback. And then for those of you who are joining us online on Zoom, we'd also love to hear from you. So there is a Q&A feature on the Zoom. If you can put your questions there in the chat, and my wonderful colleague Rudy will make sure we get all those questions answered for you. So following the Q&A, we'll have a light reception just to the right next door. This will be an opportunity to introduce yourselves to the staff at Bernalillo County and ask more individualized personal questions. We'll also have our business cards available if you think of questions later on, and we're always available by email or phone. So to get started, I just want to go over the event calendar for the year, just kind of do a rundown of each event, what to expect. So we're going to start off with our first event. So we're kicking off the 2024 event season on Sunday, April 28th. That is South Valley Pride Day. So this is our 31st year hosting this event. The District 2 event, we typically see over 1,000 people at this event. We start off with a parade, and then we make our way to the Westside Community Center in the South Valley. We have a car show, we have live music, we have entertainment, and we also honor our outstanding citizens. So those are folks that have gone above and beyond in their community, and we just like to honor them. So this is a beloved event. We have our applications are up already on the vendor page. So on these screens in front of you and behind you, this is our updated vendor page. So this is all available online. You also have a printed copy with you as well. So this is going to give you all of the requirements for all the events depending on the type of vendor that you are. And then this is where we house our applications for certain events. So moving on, so for our second event, we have Evening in Paradise. So this is going to be on Saturday, June 1st. This is a District 4 event in the Paradise Hills area. It's really a lot of fun. We have a huge zip line going across the whole field. We have bounce houses. We do a beer garden, live music, live entertainment. We have food vendors, food trucks, artisan vendors. It's really a lot of a fun event, and it's usually a tropical theme since we are in Paradise Hills. So at the end of this event, once the sun goes down, we kick off our Movies in the Park series. So we put up our big screen and we show a movie, and that's always a lot of fun. All the neighbors come and hang out. So then that does kick off, like I said, our Movies in the Park series. So this is going to run from June to August. That will be every Friday in the summer. So we select a movie and a park within the county, and we play a movie. We have games for the kids. So right now we're really focusing on increasing our numbers for this. So we've just been doing one food truck, a dessert truck, or a drink truck. The numbers really vary depending on the location, the weather, the type of movie that we're playing. So that is something that we're working on. The next event I'd like to talk about is one of my favorites. So we brought back the Bosque Chili Fest last year. So it was at a new location. So we are at the fairgrounds in Villa Hispana. So this Bosque Chili Fest is a celebration of all things New Mexico: chili, music, food, art, culture. So we had a few thousand people attend this event. We were really excited for that turnout. And we had green chili candles, red chili ice cream. We had vendors showing us how to roast peppers, how to grow peppers, how to make a chili ristra. So it was really a lot of fun getting the community involved. So for this event, we're looking for local artisan, local vendors, and local chili roasters. However, because this event is hosted at the fairgrounds, they have food vendors that they have contracts with, so we have to go through their food vendors. So we're unable to do the call for vendors for food vendors because they are contracted there. But we will be looking for prepackaged food vendors for that event. And our last, moving on, the last district event of the year is East Mountain Celebration. So we're still finalizing that date with the commissioner, but that is a community event up in the East Mountains. It's a District 5 event. It's usually a fall fair type of theme. This past year, we tied it in with the eclipse. So everybody had the glasses. It was kind of space themed. It was really wonderful to see the shadows changing and how dark it got. And same thing like our other community events. We honor our outstanding citizens. We have local vendors, local artisans, and games. And we'll close out our event season with our Sugar School Fun Run. So this event is going to be hosted Sunday, October 27th. This is a 5K themed Day of the Dead race, and this is going to be our 10th annual event. So we moved this event to a new location last year. We had it along the scenic Tingley Drive. The leaves were changing. We had beautiful weather. It was wonderful. So we're going to host it at that same event again this year. We had food trucks, we had vendors, we had a DJ, we did a little bit of yoga. So for that event, because it's so early in the morning and it's a run, we look for food vendors who are serving more breakfast type foods, smoothies, breakfast burritos, bagels. No, although the runners probably deserve a green chili burger, they may not feel like eating that at 8 in the morning after running a 5K. So more breakfast stuff. Okay. So that was just sort of a brief review of all of our events. Next on the agenda, I'm going to just review the application process from beginning to end, what we're looking for and how we can streamline that as much as possible. So, and again, all of this information is listed up on our websites. It will also be listed in the event applications, and you also have that as a printed version as well in front of you. So this year we have updated all of our applications, so they're all now PDF fillable. So you're able to just type out right on your computer, save that to the desktop, and email that right over to us. So that's going to save you some ink and printing, and it's a lot easier for me to read the type than the handwritten notes. So that's an improvement. So within the app, we ask for a brief description of what you're going to be promoting or selling. We do this so we can have a better understanding and so we can avoid having too many duplicate vendors. We want to make sure that you do good business at our events. We also ask that you sign the application at the bottom. This is basically an agreement with the county that you'll abide by our rules. You will show up on time, not leave early, not have any vulgar signage. So then once we've received your application, all of your required permits, and your insurance has been approved, we will email you and let you know, congratulations, you've been selected as a vendor. And then we will send out our payment instructions and loaded instructions. So in terms of vendor fees, there are fees associated with each of our events. The vendor fees are going to vary depending on the type of event, the type of vendor that you are, the size of the event. So the vendor fees really range from about $25 to $200, again, sort of just depending. And the vendor fees will be listed on the specific event application. So once you have been selected as a vendor, I'll connect you with our accountant and she will assist with making the credit card payment over the phone. In that email, I'd also include loaded instructions, site map, where to park, where you'll be set up for the event. So try to give you as much information so our load-in is as seamless as possible. So in terms of deadlines for these applications, the deadline is typically going to be 1 month prior to the event. My goal for this year is to get the applications out to you sooner than we've had in the past. So I'd like to get these applications out to you folks 2 to 3 months before the event so you can really plan out your calendar, because I know we're competing with a lot of events that are going on here. So we use a system called Gov Delivery, so we have all of your emails in a big email system. So when I'm doing a call for vendors for an event, I'll say call for vendors, and we're looking for vendors for the South Valley Pride Day. Here's the name of the event, here's the address, here's the applications that you need. So you'll get all of that via email. It's also, again, listed on our website. And so we ask that you fill out that application for every single event, resubmit all of your permits and insurance for each event, and we'll go from there. Okay, so that was sort of the brief overview of the application process. So now I'd like to go over each type of vendor and what is required for that. So the first kind of vendor we're going to talk about is our food trucks vendor. Can I get a show of hand in the crowd who's working with the food trucks? Fabulous. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. So for this, again, we're going to need the completed application. We're going to need an updated business license, a health permit, and a fire permit. These can all be obtained through Bernalillo County. So if you are a food truck, or if you are a truck pulling a food trailer or a food cart, we are requiring a $1 million insurance policy. In addition to that, we're also asking that you add Bernalillo County and list them as additionally insured for that event. So Armani is going to be speaking after me, and he'll be able to go into more detail about the certificate of insurance, pull up an example of exactly what we're looking for. So for food trucks, we're also going to be looking for the workers' comp insurance. You can ask your insurance to add that to your certificate of insurance. So if you do have fewer than 3 employees, you are not required to have workers' comp insurance. However, we do require that you sign and notarize the workers' comp waiver. So one change from last year is that we are no longer able to keep these waivers on file for a year. So we're now being required that these waivers, the workers' comp waiver, needs to be notarized and signed for each event that you do with the county. So if you are selected as a food vendor, we will then connect you with health protection. You'll need to submit a temporary event permit, and this is just asking to explain how you are planning to prepare, transfer, and serve the food safely, what your hand washing station will look like. And you should expect a food inspection on the day of the event from Health Protection. And if you do have questions, we do have Kellison here. He's the Health Protection Manager, so he can answer any of the health-related questions you may have. Okay, so moving on to the next type of vendor, we're looking at a prepackaged food vendor. So we'll need an application again for every event, an updated business license, and a health permit. So a change from last year is that we are not requiring the workers' comp insurance or the auto insurance for prepackaged food. So that's some of the feedback that we've heard that we've taken into account. So that is a change from the past. If you are serving samples or you are serving any food that needs to be refrigerated, you also will need to fill out the temporary food permit, and you'll have a health inspection on the day of the event. Okay, our next vendor is our artisan vendors. So we ask for a completed application and a business license. So I understand that some of our artisans are, mom and daughter making bracelets in the living room. We really love to see that. We love to help you guys get recognized and do good business. However, with the county, you do still need to have a business license. But we do offer a temporary business license for a small fee through a permitting office. So you are able to get that for either the event season or just for that specific event. Okay, and then for our last type of vendor is our business and service vendor. So this was more of a case-by-case basis because this is it's a wide variety of vendors. So we may have political vendors that would fall under this. We may have schools, nonprofits, solar companies. So what's being required is going to vary depending on the type of vendor that you are. So even if you have a nonprofit, you can have a booth, hand out information about your booth, have a little game there. So we do ask that you complete the signed application and that you add Bernalillo County as additionally insured to your certificate of insurance. And within that application that you fill out, the more information that you can give us, the better, so we can make sure that you have the proper coverage for everything. So like I said, our first event to kick off the season is going to be South Valley Pride Day. That's going to be on Saturday, April 28th. So I'm going to be putting out that call for vendors on February 1st. It is already available online if you want to start working on those, but you will get an email from me February 1st looking for all types of vendors for that event. So there are other events in the county. We are a large organization, so you also may get calls from people outside of my department. So I, again, work for Cultural Affairs and Marketing, but you may get a phone call from one of our community centers looking for vendors for an Easter egg hunt. You may get a phone call from our open space looking for vendors for their farmers market. So even though it's not necessarily coming from me or my department, all of the applications and requirements that we're going over today are still required. It's required across the county. Okay, and then this is also being recorded, so this will be available on our YouTube page. We'll add a link to the vendor page, so if you want to come back and rewatch it, or if you want to send this to any of your colleagues who are not able to make it, that will be available in the next few days or two. So now I'm going to pass this over to Armani. He is our risk management administrator, and again, he's going to go over in detail more of the insurance requirements. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. As Ariella mentioned, my name is Armani Mansour. I'm the Risk Management Administrator here with the county. Before I get started with my presentation, just wanted to kind of go through a couple of things as to how risk management appears to be here today. And I noticed there are some questions already. I saw some hands being raised, so if you could just do us a favor and maybe jot your question down on a piece of paper so you don't forget it. And then towards the end, we'll ask anyone that has questions maybe to come up to the podium so everyone can hear it, and then maybe we can get it addressed. So appreciate that on your behalf. When you hear the term risk management, some of you are thinking, okay, we're not looking to clean up asbestos, so why is risk management here? Risk management is actually involved in a plethora of things. You like that, huh? Yeah. Risk management is involved in a number of things, anywhere from safety to records management to cleanup. to protecting our employees and making sure our employees are safe and then they're in a safe environment so that you, our constituents, are in a safe environment when you're here with the county. So there's a number of things that we in risk management do, which kind of brings me here today because part of my job duties and responsibilities is to review contract information. So I see hundreds and possibly even thousands of contracts throughout a year. And my responsibility is to make sure those vendors or contractors or whomever have proper insurance. The last thing we want is for them to be exposed by not having insurance and then to extend that lack of insurance over to our employees and our county facilities and county buildings. So that's why I'm here. I will assure you that here in risk management, we are looking to try to cooperate and prepare for a successful event. That's our ultimate goal. We want you to make money. We want you to be safe. We want us to be safe, and we want anyone that's visiting any of our events to be safe. So that's why we're here. I've got a couple of things that I think are really important that you'll enjoy hearing, as well as a video. So here is my agenda for today. You'll see that the first thing we're going to talk about is the standard insurance requirement. Out on the table, out in front, there was a packet that I prepared, and this is what it kind of looks like. I know you really can't see it, but you'll see the first page of it here in just a second. I'll go through that with you. Then there's the insurance matrix. We'll go through the video. We'll talk about a couple of waivers that we've created, the auto waiver and the workers' comp waiver. We'll talk about a certificate of insurance, which is extremely important to us, should be extremely important to you also. We call it a COI. And then we'll go through maybe the one-day coverage or special event coverages that are available to anyone that does not have a annual policy in place. So let's go to standard insurance requirement. Oops, what's this? This is our first food truck. So I was talking with someone earlier, some of our food vendors may look like him, but their trucks don't look like that any longer. But this is a food truck, really. This is where we actually got our start, in the covered wagon. So it provides you with a basis of why and how long we've been around, and you've been around if you're operating as a food vendor for us. But we'll talk about the standard insurance requirements now. So the first page is just a lot of information. So the first page of this is really saying, hey, if you're going to do an event with the county, we need to make sure that you have a certificate of insurance, make sure Bernalillo County is listed, and that's on that next to last paragraph. I know the font may be a little bit small for you to see on the screen, but you should have a hard copy of it. So that next to last paragraph is telling you pretty much this is the county's address and this is how it should appear. So I ask your help is that whenever you speak to your carrier and you tell them that you need to add Bernalillo County in there as an additional insured, just make sure it just says Bernalillo County. You don't need to put down Bernalillo County, Paradise in the Park or South Valley Pride Day, nothing else, just Bernalillo County and our address. And that should simplify things for you. Inside of this packet, I had prepared a breakdown of almost all of the insurance requirements that the state had, that the county has. This may not all pertain to you, so don't worry about it. But I prepared this just so that you can actually see the dollar amounts that are listed in there for the various coverages that are available. So if you see a coverage in here, we're not asking for you to purchase that or for that to be applied onto your COI. It's just for more of the informational purposes only. But if you need CGL or commercial general liability, there's the minimum required amounts there. If you need commercial auto, there's a minimum required amount listed. If you need another line of coverage, there is the amount that's listed. So don't be overly concerned with all these other policies that are in there because it may not affect any food vendors, any artisans, or any craft individuals or anything along those lines. Does that make sense so far? Okay. Next, we're going to talk briefly about the insurance matrix. So it kind of looks like this. I have a colored version. Yours may be black and white, but this isn't the insurance matrix. I will share with you that I think this will probably be your most useful tool when it comes to asking questions or wanting to know what the insurance requirements are and how much they are. And I've got it set up by column. So you can see row 1, row 2, row 3. Column 1 is regarding the CGL or the commercial general liability. I will tell you that the CGL is your baseline coverage for any event or anything that you're doing with the county. So everyone needs to start there on column 1. Column 2, if it's required, there's commercial auto, and I know there was some gasps in the audience when you saw the $1 million minimum requirement. We've been in discussion with leadership for some time now, and we are relooking at some of our limits to make them more accessible and more affordable to you when you have your events. So please don't fret over that just yet, but we'll be making announcements. We'll send out emails. We'll make modifications to this as we go forward and make adjustments. And by the way, both of the forms, the standard insurance requirement and the insurance matrix, is located in our electronic version. So if you need a printed copy or an electronic version, you can access that through Bernalillo County. The next one is the workers' comp. So I know for a fact some of our operations are generally mom and pop operations. Some of you actually may have a brick and mortar restaurant that you operate, and then on a weekend or on special events, you pull out the food truck and you attend that. Just be mindful that workers' comp is a state statute. It's not a county requirement, it's a state statute requirement. And what they've established is that there's $1 million that need to be out there. As long as you have 3 or more employees. So if you have 2 part-timers and yourself, or if you have your family members helping you, are they employees or are they volunteers helping you? That's a decision you have to make. I can't tell you what to do there. But I will tell you, if you have, standard employees, 3 or more, then we are required to make sure that you have the workers' comp coverage listed on your certificate of insurance. Make sense so far? Okay. On the bottom there, under each column, is additional coverages. So if you look at it, you'll see liquor liability is included in there. There's amusement rides. The state considers jump houses, bull riding houses, whatever they consider that all part of the carnival rides. So if for some reason you're participating and you also have a carnival ride, there's a whole different exposure there. Feel free to reach out to risk management if you have any additional questions there. And then the final bottom one there is just dealing with pyrotechnics, which is nothing other than just fireworks. I don't think we have to worry about that here. The other pages, and page 2 on the insurance matrix, in the center is the actual address for Bernalillo County all over again. So there's multiple locations that you can find our additional insured information so that you have that readily available. And then there's a couple of samples in here. I won't go through that here with the insurance matrix just yet. Okay. Next, we're going to take a look at a video. So I'm going to preface this video I know it already looks kind of scary, right? So don't worry. It's none of your food trucks. It's someone else's. But the reason why I decided to put this in here is just that if you think about what you're doing and when you're operating your food truck, you're traveling with explosives pretty much in your food truck. And we have to make sure that you're aware of it, that you're doing all the safety precautions needed, and that we're making sure that when you attend any one of the events, that we have fire here to address any questions or concerns regarding that. But I'm going to roll the video, take a look at it, and then we'll come back and just visit briefly on it. Thank you.
It's a food truck fireball. It looks like a bomb went off. Spectators in a high-rise across the street started recording when the truck caught fire in Portland, Oregon. Sure enough, just 2 minutes later.
That's what I was talking about.
So, how safe are food trucks? We found a number of examples of restaurants on wheels catching fire. This one happened at a high school in Fresno, California. And this one in Philadelphia resulted in the death of a mom and her daughter who were inside the truck serving food. Many times these explosions are due to gas leaking from propane tanks. In this demonstration, the Branford, Connecticut Fire Department deliberately leaked propane gas inside a food truck. Look what happened next. Here's a view of the explosion from inside the food truck. In slow motion, you could see the propane ignite, followed by a fireball. The force of the blast hurls the mannequins away. Now it's happened in a working food truck.
The food truck and propane industry stress that these.
Thank you. Again, I wasn't trying to be morbid when I found this video, but I thought it was extremely important because when you are traveling and you have your propane tanks in your food truck, and then you stop at whatever the location is, whether it be one of our events or another event, whatever it may be, and then you go to light your stove or your oven, unless you have proper ventilation going into the food truck before you ignite, there's generally some kind of fumes inside there. So this should be nothing new to any of you that are operating a food truck. You should be aware of that. I just wanted to make sure that I stressed the fact that from the county's perspective, we're not here to control you and the way you operate your food truck or your vendor, but we are interested in making sure that you take the proper precautions. One of the proper precautions is to have proper insurance. And then this way you're protected. All those other vehicles that were in that vicinity of that truck explosion, they would be protected. Now the loss of life, all of these are really rare incidents, and we're fortunate that we've not had a major incident like this here in our state and in our city or in our county. So kudos to all of you so far. But that's why you have insurance, because it'll just take that one incident that could either keep you in business or will put you out of business without the proper coverage. Make sense? Any questions on the video, just in case? Okay. All right. So just to continue on with my
These accidents are rare.
There's two documents that we created, which one was called the workers' comp statement and the other is the auto statement. And these are just waivers. We're saying, hey, look, if you don't have 3 or more employees, then we would really encourage you to sign this, get this notarized, and send that in with your application to us. What we feel is really important is that throughout the year, we know that your situation is going to change. You may get busy, you may have to hire some folks. So that's why we ask that this information is completed on every single event, because today you may not have any employees, and next month for the next event, you're going to prepare for South Valley Pride Day, and you have to hire 2, 3, 4, 5 people to help you. So that's why we have this statement available. The other statement is the commercial auto. The commercial auto, and again, this is just a waiver saying, hey, if you don't have commercial auto, as I mentioned, we're re-looking at the minimum limits, but this waiver is really just saying, hey, you won't hold a county accountable if you're involved in any type of incident regarding your vehicle while it's on county property. So this is really more or less a hold harmless agreement for us, more so than we want to verify your personal auto insurance. I really don't want to see your personal auto insurance. I'm not interested in that at all. We've had some situations where an individual put a photo or put his ID card on his lap and took a picture of his personal auto insurance and submitted that in as verification of insurance, and we just can't accept that. So we'll go through a little bit more detail on some of the requirements, but again, if you're not required to carry the commercial auto, then unless you're operating a vehicle, then we're going to require you to make sure you sign and submit the waiver. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the Certificate of Insurance, the COI. So for the sake of the innocent, I kind of made up some name. This is actually a true certificate of insurance that we received, but I changed the name of the named insured just to protect the innocent. And the first thing that I'll share with you is down on the very bottom, you see where it says certificate holder? That's where Bernalillo County belongs, and just Bernalillo County. Nothing else, no other name at our address here in Alvarado Square. That's the first thing. We'll go back up then and take a look at the first type of coverage. There is your commercial general liability. You could see that it says, here's your policy number, here's your effective date, and then there is your limits. 1 million for each occurrence, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth bullet down says, here's your general aggregate of 2 million. So we require 1 million per occurrence, 2 million aggregate. Now, when I look at the certificate of insurance, I'm looking for a number of things, and I don't want to bore you with all of the details, but a couple of the really important ones that I look at is going to be the effective date. Some of the vendors have sent in their certificate of insurance from a couple of years ago. You know, and my question is, that's great, 2 years ago, but what about today? Do you still have those same policies? Do you still have those same limits? Do you still have the same carrier? And so on. So that's why we're looking for more current information. That's one of the first things we'll look at. Here is the certificate of insurance for the commercial auto. You could see that they've got $1 million on the commercial auto. This particular individual has workers' comp, and there is their minimum requirement for the effective year of 2024 at $1 million. So this is a good certificate. I won't bore you with a couple of the details, but I will share with you is that you can get a certificate of insurance from any one of your insurance carriers or your broker. They can provide that to you directly. And then once they provide that to you, forward it on over either to myself or Ariella and her team, and then she'll make sure that it comes over to me for approval. Make sense so far? Okay. Next, we'll talk about the special event coverage. So that COI that I just shared with you, that individual had a general liability policy and a commercial auto for the entire year. Some of you may be coming to just one event, or you may just be coming back from hibernation from COVID, and this will be your first event or something. So if you don't have a general liability for an annual policy, then you can actually go and purchase a special event 1 day, 1 weekend, 1 week, 1 month, whatever you see fit through any one of these event insurers. And you can go to any one of these sites. You have it in your packet now, so now you have actual contacts if you need to make them. And you could go directly to any one of these folks and purchase a one-day event policy, and then they'll provide you with a certificate of insurance, and then you forward that over to myself or Ariella's team. The prices will vary, and it all depends on what you input into that system, and each carrier will vary. So some of them may want to be a part of any type of special event, and then some of them may just want to do little small events, quinceañeras or birthday parties or whatever. So you'll have to decide on which carrier you go to, but it'll start off as little as $60 to $75 for one day, all the way up to $400 or $500, even $600, depending on all the information that you input into the system. Does that make sense? So I can't tell you it's going to cost you $100 because it may be a giant event and the carrier is going to want more protection and more premium for it. And the very last bullet just simply states that, you make those choices, you select the carrier that you want to do business with, and then just have them provide the information to us. Okay? Finally, I'm going to bypass this video. This is another one that took place and no one was injured, but you could see the aftermath of the tank after it blew, so that you can actually see that this is real true situations that are going on. In order to summarize today in my session, your tanks need to be ASME approved. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. If some of you aren't, I will share with you is that your tanks have a expiration date on it. They're only good for so long. And then after that, you either have to replace the tanks or you have to go out and have them, I forgot what it's called, Lieutenant, but if you know, you could share it with us here in a minute, but they kind of revamp it and then fix it up so that it meets their standard requirements again, and then they restamp it with a new ending date. So this is something that shouldn't be new to you guys. If you have to fill up your tanks and you go to Ortega's propane or one of the other ones, they'll look at it and they'll say, yeah, I can't fill this one. You need to replace this. So they're not trying to pull anything. They're not trying to sell you new tanks. It really is a requirement that's will protect you and protect everyone around us if you have a proper tank, and that's DOT approved. Make sure that you have your fire extinguishers, that they're up to date and current. If you don't have fire extinguishers, hopefully you have a fire suppression system in your food truck. Some of the individuals that I've talked to said, a fire suppression system is pretty expensive. But if this is your livelihood, you want to protect your livelihood. And a fire suppression system is really probably one of the top-notch things that you want to do to protect yourself and protect yourself from injuries also. Double check your system, double check to make sure that your tanks are off before you ignite any flames inside your truck. I encourage you to review your insurance policies on an annual basis to make sure you have the proper coverages. You don't have to switch carriers every year, but make sure you review it to make sure you've got the proper coverage. If you have questions, there's my number. My business card is out on the table outside. I've talked with some of you, actually. Some of you I've met. Good to see you. I personally have met and visited with, and some of you I may have talked to on the phone, but here is my cell phone number. My office number rings directly to my cell phone, so I'm always available unless I'm out fishing somewhere. Don't tell Lisa that I'm out fishing, though. But you can always reach me on my cell phone, and there you have my email. That's my presentation, and that's why I just wanted to share with you what risk management does, because we kind of do a plethora of things, including working with you guys very closely to make sure you have a safe and happy event. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn it over now to Ariella? Okay.
I wanted to say something. Thank you, Armani, for a great presentation. But I want to say that today we want to hear from you. We want to hear, Armani just went over a very detailed presentation on the reason why Bernalillo County is requiring insurance. But today is your day. We're here to talk to you about doing business with Bernalillo County. So if there's any questions, any challenges, anything that you want to talk to us about, we encourage you to ask us questions. Armani did say that we are looking at making some changes for the event season, and we will be getting that information over to Ariella by April 1st. So, but we do want to hear from you. So I just encourage the conversation. We're speaking to you right now, but you will have an opportunity to ask us questions, and I encourage you to do so. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Armani, for joining us today. So right now, we're going to open up the floor to questions. So just as a reminder, this is being recorded as well on Zoom. So if you do have a question or a comment or any feedback, if you could please approach the podium and speak into the microphone. That way we can capture that for our videos. And if Mike from Fire and Kel from Health, if you don't mind joining us up here. So if you have any questions, we can pick you up on the microphone. Yeah, come on up. Thank you. So yeah, if you have any questions about events, insurance, fire, health, we are the folks here that have all that information. And again, we're really looking for feedback on how we can make this a seamless process. So if you have a question, please approach the microphone.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
My first question is the Bosque Chili Festival. What was the attendance for that one this past year?
I'm going to say it was about 3,500.
Okay, and then was there a fee for patrons to get in?
Yes, there was. It was $12.50.
And then did they also have to pay for parking?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so total, what are they paying?
Parking was $10, so total of $22.50.
20. Okay, so that's like a minimum for one person and then a household. And then I see the marketing for the fun run, and I'm sure that you have like a bulk amount of money put into billboard marketing. What was the billboard marketing for the Chili Festival compared to the fun run? Or was there? Or what was the marketing for the Chili Fest?
Are you looking for like specific numbers?
Just what was employed what vehicles of promotion were employed with it, and what that reach was exactly? Because if 3,500 people came, what was the amount of money that was put in last year, and what is the amount of money of that putting in this year?
So I'm going to have my colleague Tammy answer that because she does work in marketing.
Okay.
So she'll be able to give you those numbers a little bit better than I can.
Great. And then regarding the Sugar Skull Fun Run, so with events that do happen that early, so most patrons are arriving in the 6 a.m. hour, or how is that?
So the race starts at 8 a.m. So typically folks are showing up between 7 and 8.
Okay, and then that's only one. It's only the 5K. There's no other sort of separate type of things that sort of stagger.
So we have the 5K, and following the 5K, we have the 1 mile strut and stroll.
Okay.
So that's for kids and dogs to walk that mile as well.
Okay, so the people who are there, they are browsing and looking between the 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. hour, and then there's another hour, or would you say that there's an amount of people that sort of just chill there most of the time?
It's a smaller amount, but there are folks that come just to cheer people on to watch, and they will shop. And because it's not like a certified timed run, when the buzzer goes off, you don't have to start at 8.
There's no mass start.
Right.
Okay.
There is in a traditional sense, just to kind of make it fun, but we're timing it based on each individual person. So if you start at 8:15 and it takes you an hour, it doesn't matter that you started 8:15, 8:30. People can start the run whenever they want.
Okay, so the load in would be like 5 a.m. and then we'd start seeing people at 6, and then that'd be the first wave, and then we'd be kind of chilling, getting little peoples. And then is there another next wave? When's the next one you said that was staggered, or the mile one?
Mm-hmm. So we typically try to do that an hour once we start the 5K, just so there's not the crossing of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then people will hang out a little bit afterwards as well to do a little shopping.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Other questions, comments, please?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for doing
Hello.
this event, this little get together. It's very helpful.
Thank you for being here.
I have a couple of questions. So I know health permit wise, like I sell honey, I do sampling, so I do get the health permit for every event. My question is there any way that the state, the city, and the county can get together where we have like one permit that we fill out that covers all of our events for the whole year? I know it's like not something you guys can just do on your own, like it's like, everybody has to work together, but that's something that I've heard from a lot of other vendors that would be like super beneficial to us, like if there was like one form that we could do where it does cover the whole year. Another question I have is for business registration. Nobody has ever told me, like I get the Albuquerque, I have an Albuquerque business registration. I don't necessarily have a county business license. Is that something separate that I need?
No, as
No?
long as it's a business license, we can accept it.
Okay, I think that's all I have right now. But
Okay. So Kel, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, we get that question quite often. The one permit, one application. So there are 3 jurisdictions in the state. There's NMD, there's us, and there's city. So we did pass the 22-2 food code, and that resembles the state. So in that aspect, yes, we are following the state's lead on ordinances and regulations, but still a separate permitting process. However, we do honor mobile food permits. So if you do have a New Mexico Environment Department mobile food permit, we will honor that. Same with the City of Albuquerque. So if you do have a City of Albuquerque mobile food truck permit, we will honor that. And so there is an MOU with us in the state and the city regarding mobile food trucks and honoring those permits. So,
but that's just for food trucks, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Morning, everybody. Omar with Alitas LLC. So the one question you answered earlier for us, Ariela, thank you. But the one question that we still do have is, for the workers' compensation insurance, what does the amount need to be?
Hold it down.
We had an
There
issue
we
with
go.
that last year.
Yeah. So workers' comp, state statute says it needs to be at $1 million.
Okay.
So if you look on your matrix, you'll see that that's the area, but you can write that in because the state statute says it needs to be at 1 million.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar.
I'm Vicki Coffin. I have Wilder Gardens. I make tomato sauce, and I vend both at the rail yards and downtown growers and a lot of the Bernalillo County events. There was a lot of confusion on my part when we did the South Valley Pride event, and we applied for a temporary permit, food permit. It was very slow in coming. The person that was handling it left early that day and ended up having to give me a special phone call to say I did have a permit. The inspector never came to my tent. And at another event, the Prickly Pear Festival, he told me that if I was just doing sampling, that I really didn't need a temporary food permit and an inspection. So I want to do the right thing. I want to make sure that I'm covered. But I'm getting some conflicting information. And also, I think that there was a thing where you could do, if you had 4 events and they were each $50 a piece, for a temporary food permit or whatever that permit was, that you only paid one conglomerate of $50 for all of the events of the year. So sometimes I get it mixed up as to whether that's the city stuff or the county stuff. But my question is, do we really need a temporary event food permit if we're just sampling?
Right. Thank you, Vicky, for coming. I appreciate you and the products you made at South Valley SVEDC. Thank you for bringing those concerns up. But yes, it's been, with the whole pandemic and things going on, there was an adjustment there a couple years ago as far as this stuff. As far as like doing inspections again and whatnot. But for the sampling, yes, a sampling application needs to be submitted, but there's no permit fee for sampling. So it's just a simple application, you fill it out and just turn it in us, and that's just a way for us to keep track of the samplers there. So yeah, sampling application is all is needed and no permit fee.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Vicky.
Hi, I'm Tony Ann Vigil. I go by Tony's Trinkets, and I'm a home crafter. And I wanted to know if I need a permit and how to get that.
Yeah, we don't sell food.
We
at
don't
all.
sell food,
At
right?
all. We take our tables, we take our own tents and stuff, so the insurance is also something that's gonna be required as well.
So to me, you would fall under an artisan vendor. So we would need a completed application, and then you would need the temporary business license.
Okay,
And no insurance.
No insurance
No
required.
insurance, correct.
okay, and you'll tell us where we can get the temporary licenses and stuff?
Correct. So that's going to be from our permitting office
Okay,
here at Bernalillo County. And while you're here, they're actually up on the second floor if you wanted to run up and speak to somebody about that process.
okay, and one more thing, this is just the Bernalillo County, these regulations that you're telling us today, they're just the Bernalillo County events?
That is correct, right? So the city has different insurance requirements entirely.
Okay.
Do you need a permit to set up, like, I don't want to say this, like the side of the road? You know, like for holidays, people put up a stand and sell like roses for Valentine's Day. Do you need a permit for that?
Uh-huh.
You know, I set up at a gas
Right.
station or.
So when you go talk to the permitting office, I would suggest asking them those type of questions, because I'm not sure in terms of, I like the guerrilla vending, because we have certain restrictions for our events. And it would depend on the road and who has the ownership of the road.
And Ariella, she can actually visit permitting on the, what floor?
Second floor.
On the
Seventh floor. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I can answer a little bit to that.
Oh, thank you,
So, right away. So it's the right of way that you got to be worried about. If you're in the right of way, you can't be vending on right of way. So that's shoulder, includes the shoulder of road. So just be aware of that. You have to be on the actual property. But like they were saying, the second floor, PDS, Planning Development Services Permitting, can answer those questions more detailed. But it's just the right of way is what you got to be worried about with that.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody for me? Go ahead. Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Pastor Chuck Aragon from Christie's Yum Yums, God's Warehouse. We had a kind of a confusion last year, and I'm seeing this year too, West Side Community Center is being torn up, so where is South Valley Pride Day going to be this year?
It's going to be at that new beautiful location.
Oh, West Side,
yes,
you'll be ready?
we are scheduled to
Good.
complete in March.
And we are going to have the parade this
And
year
we
and
will have
everything
the
again?
parade. They're
Okay,
also
great.
tearing up the streets, but I'm being told it will all be done well in advance.
Amen. That's a beautiful event. Also, on the Chili Festival started at the Hispanic Cultural Center, and all of a sudden we moved it to Expo. And I was wondering why we left the valley and went into an area to celebrate the Bosque Chili. Why was that done?
There's a few reasons. They have a lot of change, so it was really hard to stay in contact with the same person. And we sort of felt that we were outgrowing that space, that parking was really becoming an issue. The shuttles were taking a very long time to get people off site. So we decided to, try to find a place where we really have almost unlimited parking there.
So that's why I went to the expo.
Yes.
And my third question, I'm almost in all of them on feeding, so I'm a participant that's at most events. At the Rio Rancho Day of Paradise, it was so spread out that they had a vendor over here and then a vendor a half mile that way, and it kind of like none of us really they got a crowd, you know. And I think because the food was so separate, I know it's a big area. I can see the way the setup was. How do we have a committee that sits together and says, hey, maybe this can help the event vendors themselves that are in there? Is there a citizens committee at all, the vendor committee that can help in some decisions and this stuff?
So that's not something we currently have involving like outside public or the vendors. We do have an internal committee, but I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And part of that is I'm new, so that was my first time
Yeah.
hosting that event, and that's one thing that I felt as well, that it was too spread out.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate that feedback, and I got that feedback from other vendors as well, is to try to keep it more contained. So, you know, the longer I'm here, the more I'm seeing like the layout of the parks
Yeah.
and kind of how it flows. I'm able to kind of switch up the site map so it makes more sense to create a better flow, to create those crowds. So that more feedback that you can give me at the end of the event, that's super helpful so I can plan. And I keep all my notes from the previous year so I know, oh yeah, that didn't work last year. Let's try something different.
Yeah, that's good. And I want to compliment you. I've been doing vending in the county with, I mean, I don't know, we've been doing, me and my daughter, 15 years or something, and the events are very well done. I want to compliment you on the entertainment that has been done in South Valley. All the pride. I lift up the commissioners that sponsor them. Right now, I'm doing one too with Commissioner Bourbon in the International District, where I feed the homeless, and we do it in Mesa Verde. But it's called Giving Back to the Community. And I like to sit down maybe with you guys one day. It's basically a South Valley Pride Day, you know, stuff like that, but it's an international district. But Commissioner Bourbon backs it up. And I think that the international district should have a day also of recognition to their community. And we're doing it out of our own pockets, God's Warehouse. And it's been successful. It's getting 6,000 people.
Wow.
So I like to sit down with the department and say, hey, maybe this can become an annual event too. We built Chacon Park, and I think the city would oblige with it. We built Chacon Park building up in a brand new park, and now it's going to be beautiful. Maybe it's something to bring into that area, international district Pride Day kind of. I think Commissioner Bourbon backs us up, but I think the county needs to look at it as a South Valley and a Paradise Hills, and it gives vendors another area where we can make money, you know. But like I said, I appreciate everything you do. I've had a nice talk with my brother right here, my friend, and the health department, and you know, you guys are doing a good job. And I just want to say that, you know, a lot of times people don't bring back the thank yous, but you have made a lot of people a living, and we appreciate that. And the more events, the better, and whatever we can. Another one I got kind of confused with is the East Mountain. I kind of like lost it. We went with the what do you call it, the eclipse, but we really didn't have did we have an East Mountain Day?
That's kind of what it was.
It was the eclipse in the morning, so it kind of like threw. That's another confusion that threw into all of us, because they said if you don't do breakfast burritos, you're out of the rain. You know, are we going to go back to?
We're going to go back to the traditional
to the afternoon
evening.
and entertainment and all that. Good, that'll work out
Absolutely.
great.
Well, I just want to say thank you for everything that you do for our community. It's wonderful that you're doing it. And I'd love to kind of set up a time with you where we can talk about doing something else. And then we are working with Commissioner Barboa in doing some type of community event in her district, in District 3, and working with the International District. I love that idea. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for opening up the center. It's the first time I've been in here.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's a beautiful area, and thank you for inviting us. And
thank you for all you do also.
I
appreciate visiting with you, and we had a great time. It was a great event.
Well, you know, for a lot of people that don't know, God's Warehouse and my daughter, Christy, we're feeding 300 people a night in the International District 7 nights a week. So with food and all that. So any vendors or anybody that wants to ever come and join the movement of helping our fellow community, we're called God's Warehouse in Central and Tennessee. And I invite any vendors, anybody that wants to come. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Hi, either I missed it or could you go over the Albuquerque International Festival? Is that indoors, outdoors? Where is it? How many people attended last year? And just
Sure.
some more
So,
information. I'm a vendor, and the thing is, what we have has to be indoors. So basically, that's why my interest in
sure.
more indoor events, if possible.
Sure. So this event is actually the event I was just speaking about. We are working with Connecting with Commissioner for the Albuquerque International Festival. So we are looking to be more of a sponsor for this event. So they've done it on a much smaller scale in the past. It's a part of a nonprofit organization as well as a partnership with the city. So we're still trying to figure out the details of how we're going to be involved, who's going to be collecting vendors. But that will be an outdoor event. In the international district. Will likely close down a street or two to have all the different types of vendors and music. But that's the first time that we've really been involved in this event, so we're still working out the details on that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I had, you said that there was a list of events, and I don't know if it's like at a website or what, so you can apply for them online?
Correct. So there's a list. It's on under Community Services on the Bernalillo County page under Vendor Information, and that lists all of the upcoming events. And so we don't post the applications for all of the events throughout the year. We'll post them about 2 or 3 months beforehand. So currently the application we have up is for South Valley Pride Day, which will be April 28th.
Okay, so they're periodically listed. And
Correct.
The application.
Right.
Okay. Then I had another question, because I don't, and I know a few other vendors don't really cook food. I don't even have a stove or oven or anything. And so I do primarily like prepackaged and drinks, and my inside is like basically everything's plugs. It's no, I only run a generator. And so, and mostly ice cream. So like for ice cream trucks and such that we don't prepare food, would they be falling under the blanket of like just everything generally food truck? Because it's a little pricey to participate, in the events, because we don't generate as much income as like a food truck cooking food. I'm generally between $3 to $10. In comparison, it's like, revenue is a lot lower. So I don't know if can we use like a tent setup and fall under a different, like how could I maneuver that? Like I'm just thinking of maybe some events if I could participate in a tent setup instead of bringing the whole, truck out and something like that, just because the cost it's a lot pricier to do it in the food truck setting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can take that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica, for being here, first of all. What we've done, and this started last year, is and there's two different things that I just need to address. We had some individuals that have a commissary somewhere else, or maybe their actual restaurant, and they're cooking food there, and then they're transporting it over to whatever the location is. If we're operating out of a table or a tent, then we're waiving a lot of the requirements for that individual. We know the importance of having the food at the right temperature and the requirements there, but from risk management perspective, we're waiving the CGL, and I think we're waiving the other coverages also, including commercial auto or anything along those lines. But what I want to clarify for everyone else is that we're looking at these on a one-on-one basis. So what we don't want is to have food trucks deciding now, well, we're going to circumvent that whole operation and just set up a table and a tent and run food from the truck over to the table and start serving it, and then we have a whole nother issue going on. But if we are truly operating a very small operation, that's something that we'll look at. Ariella will review it, look for the application, submit it over to us, and then we'll review the requirements, and last year, we pretty much waived, I would say, almost 100% of them, if they're operating out of a tent and a table.
Okay, and then so, because the ice cream just requires a generator.
Just to be cold, yeah.
Yeah, how could I do, I mean, what would you suggest for that?
I'm not gonna require any insurance requirement on something like that. And if your generator breaks and all your material melts
Yeah,
and you
then
can't
I
sell
just
it.
shut down.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so, but if it's, because I'm contained in the food trailer, so then that ties in with the commercial auto requirement at that.
so are you selling or providing the ice cream from the trailer itself, or are you doing it from a table and a
Yes,
tent?
so if I do the ice cream, I'll have to do it in the food truck, but if I do tabletop, I won't do ice cream, I'll just do the other treats that are usually, already pre-packaged, prepared prior to.
So what I would encourage it is, once we have an application, I'll review it with Ariella and her team, and then we'll go back and visit with you on a one-on-one basis. Because every situation is gonna be, slightly different. But I don't wanna blanketly approve everyone, and then they just start selling out of their tables and the tent.
Random, yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
that's it.
understand, because then contamination and temperature
But
holds and all
we'll
that
work
is
directly
different,
with
yeah.
you on that.
And sending photos of your setup is very helpful to us to kind of visualize what you're trying to work with, and we'll try to work with you as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you had mentioned something about a state requirement for the auto, the commercial auto? Is there like a state minimum for commercial auto?
So as far as right now, and I think that was one of the first things I mentioned, we are, as a team, we're re-looking at the minimum limits for the commercial auto, because right now it's set up at 1 million. So we're re-looking at that, trying to make it more accessible for everyone. So at this point in time, I'll tell you the same thing, is that we'll have to kind of get back to you on that.
Okay,
And we'll get back with everyone to make sure everyone is aware of it, because if we do make a change, it won't go up, but it will probably go down, and I know that everyone would, like to see a little bit of a break on that.
And we are looking at, as Armani stated, we are looking across the board on the risk management side. As I said before, we all looked at, and then we understand the importance of obtaining insurance. But we are looking at making some changes on some of the monetary limits. And so we're hoping to have that finalized before the very first event. So we can, Ariella can kind of put it on, application, but by April 1st, we should have those changes. And those changes will be communicated across the board.
okay, then just one more question.
Sure.
Okay, so there was that new, it's the Home Cottage Food Act. Are you guys allowing vendors under the Cottage Food Act?
Yes, so if you're gonna be homemade food, yeah, you can vend, you just need to have a business license, is all we ask. Well, in addition to,
Your safe certification?
Right. So,
Okay.
yeah, so, if you meet that, you can talk with us and we can look over it to make sure. It's just basically foods that don't require, temperature control, so.
Okay, so then, in operation with the business license, can I use it for both? Or do I have to state it in just
I
a
believe
different way?
so. Our front counter on second floor can answer that question in more detail.
So like, because I have like, a daughter that's starting her own, so I don't know if I would have her operate in a separate, or could we do it together?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't
Okay, so-
oversee the business license section. Second floor can answer that question. in more
Okay,
detail.
okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, so quick question. Will the events for the movie nights, are those gonna be at the parks, and in times? And the only reason why I'm asking that is because I believe last time there were, because, they're towards the evening, lining in the area where the booths are for like vendors, especially because we're with CNM. So we may not be like a good spot in that sense, just because people need to look at information. If there's no light, they can't really look at that. So I just wanted to get more information on how those movies are going to be happening this year.
So that's pretty much the very reason why we don't open up the movies in the park for like artisan vendors, because it's at a park. We can't guarantee that there'll be light. And then a lot of, unfortunately, with the weather being unpredictable in the summers, we'll get rained out, and then you set up all this stuff, and then 2 people show up. So we want to make sure that it's worth your while. So that's why we're just sticking to like a dessert truck or a drink truck. And then when we invite you to events, even if they're in the evening, we've gone to a site visit to make sure that there's lights, so people can see your reading material, see your signage, because a lot of times we'll be at a park, so you won't have access to electricity to even provide your own lamp.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Patricia with Castaña's Kitchen and Catering. Question on regards to the permits. You said that the city of Albuquerque's permit is good for the Bernalillo County events?
So that's for a mobile unit. So if you have a mobile food truck permit, yeah, we will honor that.
Yes, yes. And also, so how do you guys determine or decide how do you guys choose the food trucks? Because I noticed that there's a lot of people here, and I'm sure they're all having food trucks or different kind of vending stuff. How do you guys decide that?
So we have a deadline of when all the applications are due. So on that deadline, we look at who has turned in all of their correct applications, all their permitting's up to date, the insurance, and then we want to have a variety of food. So we look at the type of event and what kind of food that we want. If it's more breakfast food, if it's geared more towards kids, so we want to have more of the fun element. So we select based on what's going to fit the event the best, and then it also depends on the size of the crowd that we are looking at, because it's such a fine balance of, you don't want lines to be too long, but you also want people to make money. So making sure we kind of find that good space. And so if one person we've already accepted sells green chili burgers, we'll likely not accept someone selling the same.
Okay, sounds good. And on regards to the fees, are the fees going up this year per event?
No, that's not something that we're looking to raise. It's really going to be dependent on the size of the event and the type of the event.
Okay, so I noticed that in the past, I haven't participated in the past years, but it seems that every time there's an event, you guys have a fee, and you also have the donation for the volunteers, which it seems like 10 people, right?
Yes,
More or
so
less.
we have, since I've come on board, that's something that we've done away with. We found that it's asking a lot for the vendors, in addition to all the applications, insurance, and permitting, and then the work that you do, that it's asking a lot. So we have gone with providing food for our volunteers just on our own.
I noticed. Okay. What was the other question? Let's see. So I noticed that there's a lot of, and because I haven't participated in the past years, there's a lot more changes on regards to insurances, and a lot more fees. And of course, now there's no the donation, which is fine. But I think that it's a lot of insurances and fees and involved. I think that the city has a lot less things involved as far as insurances and stuff. I just want to comment that you guys need to take a look that a lot of us food trucks is the sole only the sole of their income. And so, and some of them might not make the money. You just need to just be aware of that when we make changes or requests or other kinds of stuff, that it needs to be something on your mind for the rest of us. And I know that there is people in some of the events, because I've been in some of them, and I've seen the South Valley Pride. There is people, but again, some of the vendors will get a lot of money, some of the other vendors won't. It just depends on the people, but I just need to, wanted to make a comment on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your participation, and we do encourage, we do want the participation in our event, so thank you for all the feedback.
Rudy, would you mind reading some of the questions from the folks on Zoom?
All right. So the first question, it was submitted anonymously, and it's just asking if the City of Albuquerque business license is okay for Burnco.
Yes, we will accept from the city.
All right, and next up, somebody said that the New Mexico True link is broken on the business vendor application.
Oh, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. We'll get that updated right away.
Next question from Jen Bennett. Who exactly needs a COI? Is it only for food vendors?
So as far as a COI, if you're doing business with the county, other than being a artisan or prepackaged food, all food trucks will require a certificate of insurance with the proper coverage.
All right, thank you. Next question from Mandy C., the Munchie Truck. Will these packets be available digitally?
Yes, I'll send out a follow-up email to everybody with all the attachments and everything that you've received today.
Thank you. Next question from Xavier Avila. How often do these forms change or get updated?
So typically in our off season, we'll take a look at these forms and see what worked well, what didn't work, how we can improve. But we are always looking to update and change. So like we just discussed, it looks like we'll have some updates for you in April. So with those updates, the applications will change to reflect the updates that we have. But when we are making changes to these applications, we're doing it to try to make this process easier for all parties.
Next question, also from Xavier. How do insurance requirements vary between artisan vendors and food vendors?
So I think we made the announcement, and we started this last year, that any artisan or prepackaged food vendors, we, thanks to our leadership, we were waiving all of the insurance requirements, and we continue to waive that for the 2024 season. However, for food trucks and food trailers and all of them, we do require the commercial general liability. And as I mentioned, we're looking at some of the limits on the commercial auto, but at this point, we still require, if you have a food truck, we are going to require the commercial auto on the food truck also. And you probably already have it, so it should be no news to anybody that has a food truck or food trailer.
Next question from Jen Bennett. Do you need to vend on both days for Chili Fest, or is it possible to vend on a single day?
Excuse me, we are asking that vendors be able to participate on both days.
Okay, next up, this is kind of a question, kind of a comment from the Munchie Truck. It says, as a food truck owner, I don't feel comfortable asking any questions after those videos were used as examples. I don't understand why this type of business was singled out. What are actual insurance claims being seen by Bernalillo County? Because I don't recall any food trucks blowing up in the last year.
So I think I prefaced that before the video, is that we've been pretty fortunate. We haven't had a situation like that happen in our area. But I will share, based on Mandy's comment, is that the exposure is higher with your food truck than it is with a mom and pop that's making bracelets or necklaces. So the exposure is extremely high. We know that, you know that, and that's why we encourage you to make sure you have the proper insurance in place. But that's the only reason why I shared that video, just to make sure that everybody understands the possibility of what could happen in just a matter of a moment.
Thank you, Armani. Next question was submitted anonymously For those of us online, can we get the papers that were handed out in person by going to events@burnco.gov? So I guess they're asking if they can email us or if they can find it online.
So again, I will email all the information that you picked up today, so you also have it available online and to those who could not be here in person.
Next question from Barbara Montoya. If we have the New Mexico State mobile food permit, do we also need a Bernalillo County mobile food truck permit?
No, you don't. If it's in good standing, we will honor the state's permit.
Next question, submitted anonymously. If we are not a mobile unit, is the City of Albuquerque business license okay?
Yes, that we will accept that. We just want to make sure that you do have a business license. And then I just wanted to make sure we go back to the question we skipped from Xavier.
Says, is there a form in the case of food truck would like to petition for exemption from a role? Xavier, if you could.
I think a
maybe
rule.
Rule?
Yeah. So currently we don't. I think the best case, I don't want to speak to Armani, but would to reach out to him and just go over what you're questioning. And again, we'll do our best to work with you and try to figure out the best way to move forward.
Next question from Diana. When will the Day of the Dead celebration be brought back? She is with Ye Old Kitchen Witch Body Care Products.
Yes, so it is back. I don't know that it ever left. We may have done something a little bit more virtually during the pandemic, but we were certainly in person. So it's going to be October 27th. That's a Sunday that we'll bring it back this year at the new location along Tingley Beach.
Thank you. Greg Hallmark asked what business license is required for Texas?
So if you're going to be doing events here at the county, we just need a business license. So if it's from Texas and it's valid, that is something that we can accept. And then again, if you need a business license, you can apply for a temporary one here through the county.
Next question, anonymously, for out-of-state vendors for special events like Fiery Food Show, do you require a business license? And what is those requirements as well?
So we do, and again, that's sort of going to be a case-by-case basis depending on what type of vendor you are and what you're selling. If it is valid, we can accept it from out of state. Again, we'll just have to look at each case individually.
James Black asks, if we just did all of the paperwork for East Mountain Fest at the end of last year, do we need to resubmit for this year?
Yes, we ask that you resubmit for every event because things change, your coverage changes, the amount of people that you have working for you change. So we ask that you do submit an application and all of your permits and insurance information for each event that you apply for.
All right. AAA of New Mexico is asking, to attend Burnco events, do they have to have a business license and a certificate of insurance?
Yes, that is correct. If you would like to have a booth to provide information at one of our events, that is what we would require.
All right. And Xavier did say rule earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Next question submitted anonymously. If you are accepting this City of Albuquerque business license, then do we have to get a yearly Bernalillo County business license?
No, as long as it is up to date, we will accept it from the city or the county.
All right, and then Xavier asked what Day of the Dead event will be at Tingley Beach.
So that is our Sugar School Fun Run. This is our 10th annual run. We had over 1,000 participants this past year. So that again will take place on Sunday, October 27th.
All right, we just got a question in. What are the GTM requirements for out-of-state vendors?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. What is GTM? No one knows.
I don't have a clue.
Okay. Gross receipt?
They may have meant to type that, but
Okay.
Oh, yeah, GTR, they just said. To the person who is asking this question, if you could please elaborate on what GTR is?
Tax revenue.
They said
Yeah,
gross
gross
tax
receipt tax.
receipts.
Okay, so they would need to contact the tax revenue department, and they can answer that of the state of New Mexico to see what type of taxes we require.
All right, and that is the end of the questions.
Okay,
that
thank
we
you very
have.
much. Yes, any other questions, comments, feedback you can provide?
I was curious about the, do you work with the rail yards as well as the Old Town Portal?
We don't. That's actually the city that
The
runs
city,
both
so
of those.
you have to work with them
Correct.
separately. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else?
We just got a question in the Q&A. Somebody asked, are health restrictions going to get more strict? I've heard, and also there are more food trucks operating without permits.
Thank you. They are not getting more strict. There's actually some leniency. Hot water requirements are now down to 80 degrees instead of 100. As far as the food truck goes, we do food truck field investigations on the weekends. We did one a month back, and we'll be doing that again to go out because we have received complaints about illegal vendors vending without a permit. So yes, we do have a task force going out and investigating those.
Go ahead. Very quick question. I'm back after a long hiatus, so I'm not sure how often, well, actually, I'll just straight up ask you. Any plans for doing the El Camino Real Festival at Gutierrez Hubble House? 'Cause that was, I believe, a event in the past.
So that is open space, so they're not a group that we work directly with. So I can't exactly say why they got rid of it and if they're going to be bringing it back. So I would reach out to the folks over at Gutierrez Hubble House directly and see, maybe try to get more information about what happened with that and if they're planning to bring it back. Or typically if an event has sort of run its course, they'll try to replace it with something different.
Okay, just wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we are going to be next door. So if you exit this door and make a sharp right, we do have coffee and donuts available. We'll also all be there available if you have follow-up questions. It is Krispy Kreme. And if you have individual questions as well. And again, our business cards are available. And I just want to say thank you for doing business with us. And thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. Thank you. Good job, everybody.